Welcome back, guys. It is Gamer Wheeler 23 here, showcasing my ultimate True Patriot team build. Now, if you guys are new around here, please consider subscribing, as that would be very appreciated. Without further ado, let's get straight into the ultimate True Patriot team build. Now, for starters, we are using the Survivalist specialization, which we will go further in depth later in the video. But for now, let's go over to the capacitor. The capacitor gives us 1.5% skill damage for every stack that we get. Max stack is 40, and the max skill damage that we can get at the 40 stacks is 60%. And then, since it gives us 7.5% weapon damage per skill tier, we get up to 45% weapon damage because we're running skill tier 6. Now, for the secondary, as long as you're running Future Perfection, it will work. I'm using Mechanical Animal. Now, the Future Perfection grants 15 seconds of overcharge, and then 90 seconds is the cooldown. And then Orbit grants 35% critical chance and 40% critical chance when switching to this weapon within 7 seconds and killing someone. And then that will apply a buff to either our Mechanical Animal and our capacitor. Now, going over to the mask, we have our True Patriot mask, which is granting us skill tier and skill haste. Now, True Patriot, if you didn't know, red increases or amplifies the enemy's damage taken by 8%. White, shooting the enemy, repairs the attacking agent's armor by 2% once every second. And we have the full flag, which is enemies that die under the effect of all 3 debuffs creates a 5-meter explosion, dealing the total of health and armor combined into pretty much one explosion. Now, this is sadly reduced on the named enemies, but going over to the Hana-Yu chest piece, we have our 10% skill haste, which is granted by Hana-Yu. Then we have our skill tier, and then we have the 4.7% critical chance, and then 12% skill haste with a 11.8% skill haste mod on top of that with Overwatch. Now, if you didn't know, Overwatch grants weapon damage and skill damage by 12% when staying in cover for more than 10 seconds. Now, you can do cover to cover as well. That is a way you can move around. But let's say you get knocked out and you want to keep Overwatch and you want to stay in cover. So if you get knocked out, there is a literal, I think, 2 seconds you can get straight back into cover without losing your Overwatch, and it's very nice. So going over to the holster now, we have our skill tier and skill haste. I would want you guys to do skill haste on everything. Obviously, I wasn't able to get skill haste on my bag and knee pads once we get there, but you can optimize the mask and the holster with skill haste, which is pretty nice. And now, going over to the bag itself, we are running a skill tier, and we are running status effects on that as well, along with skill haste. Now, the True Patriot bag, we are getting our red and blue buff up to 12%, and then our white buff all the way up to 3%, which is only 1%, but it's still a pretty massive difference. Now, going over to the BTSU gloves grant us 90% skill haste on our hive because we are running skill tier 6, and then obviously you know the rest from there. Grant overcharge once destroying our hive and stuff like that. Now, this is granted at skill tier 6. You are able to give our allies a overcharge as well, which is very nice, and I'll go more in depth in that as well. Now, knee pads, we are running skill tier and skill damage, and then our stinger hive, we are having 5% damage stinger charges, and then if you had technician, you could put on the 10% variation, but we are not running technician, we're running survivalist because of the team play. Now, once I overcharge, there is no change in health or charges, but this does grant us 80% increase in damage, 70% increase in range, 60% increase in drone speed, and 300% plus on skill haste, which is very nice. Now, going over to the defender drone, we have our damage reduction, and then we have our health, and then there is a little empty mod slot which I was unable to find. After the video I did find it, but there is a deflect variation that you can put on the drone as well. Now, on the drone you can do up to 50%, but since I have the deflect bonus on the mod, we have 52.7%, which is very, very nice as well. Now, applying the overcharge, which is very nice, we can get up to, I think, 82.7, and then getting the True Patriot buff, we can get up to 94.7 as well, if I did my math correctly there. So 94.7 is the max we can get with this as well. Now, going over to the specializations, we have Demolitionist. Demolitionist is a good good specialist that we could use because it's giving us that 5% damage targets out of cover for our teammates, but survivalist is a lot more beneficial, I would say, because we are getting the medkit, which are healing our teammates, get the protection from elites, and we're also getting some outgoing healing. And then we also have this perk right here, which applying status effects to the enemy grants 10% damage to our allies, to that enemy with the status effect, which is very, very nice. Because if we go over to the actual Stinger Hive itself, applying that status effect grants 10%, right? But if we go over to Overwatch, we get 12% web damage and skill damage, just for either or. And then on the backpack, we get 12% web damage or skill damage as long as they have the red flag. So that's 24% between the backpack and the chest. And then if we go back to the specialization, we get 10%. So that's 34% bonus damage that we can get to our teammates as long as we have all three of those perks bonuses all at once. Now, going back to the BTSU gloves, like I said, we can grant a overcharge to our team, right? This is, as long as we're at skill tier 6, we can grant an overcharge, which is very beneficial. Now, when granting that overcharge, say the default is at 20% for the damage reduction shield. Now, 20%, obviously, I have the damage reduction bonus active, which is granting us 21.1%. And then applying more skill tiers, obviously, as you see, will grant us higher and higher and higher. But let's say you're at that 20%, there is no damage reduction mod. Granting that overcharge will bring us all the way up to, because the overcharge grants us plus 60% damage reduction. Since we're at skill tier 0, adding that 60% on top of the 20 will grant us 80% damage reduction. And then plus that true Patriot buff that we are getting from the build, we are getting plus 12% because of the blue mark. So we are getting 92% damage reduction from them, even though they're at skill tier 0, guys. Even though your allies are at skill tier 0, as long as you proc the BTSU gloves, they get 92% damage reduction, which is very nice, and you can get your 94.7 onto your allies as well. So I'm going to demonstrate in here what the crit would look like for us. So critting will equal 307,958. Now this is without red flag or the Overwatch, so we're going to apply the red flag now. And we're going to apply perfect finisher, obviously, so I can crit without having to go through a whole bunch of nonsense. So let's crit here. There we go. Hit the shot on the head. Come on, there we go. Critting is 344,913. And then getting the overcharge, which we will have to wait 10 seconds here. So let me get my perfect finisher ready. So let's get the perfect finisher. Swap the pistol. Boom, headshot. Reload. Okay, here we go. Get the crit. Come on. Give me the crit. Okay, there we go. 386,302, which is pretty good. So we went from 307 all the way up to 386. That's a pretty massive difference. I think this is more of a difference when you have DPS. So I think we're going to round it up to 100,000 bonus, but in reality it's like a 69, maybe 70,000 bonus in damage, but that's still a massive difference for your damage out there. So that is pretty much it for the build video, guys. If you guys can, please like and subscribe. That'd be very helpful, and I will see you guys on the next build video.